Hello, everybody. Welcome to At America. With me, Hasna, one of the guys here in At America. For those of you who are new here and have no idea what At America is the U.S. Embassy's American Center, and our mission is to provide a space for young Indonesians to learn about the United States. We welcome audiences joining us on another episode of Education USA, Study Tips for Ielts Test from the British Council Foundation, Part 2 out of 4. But before we begin, we have a little social media quiz for you. And the question for today is, true or false, IELTS was established in 1989? You may type in your answer at any time during the session on our social media platforms. The lucky one who can guess the answer correctly will get a live shout out from us by the end of this event. Don't forget to do that because we really like to get everyone actively involved in this event. And now, without further ado, allow me to invite our moderator for today's session, from the British Council Indonesia Foundation, Southeast Asia 2 Cluster, as a marketing manager and an exams, Banarita, the stage is yours.
Hi, everyone, and good morning. Thank you all for coming to this session, another session from the British Council IELTS for at America. And thank you for tuning in. We hope you have a good session today, and we would like you to get the best benefit from our session here. My name is Narita, and I'm the marketing manager for exams, Southeast Asia 2 Cluster. So, I hope you can provide any notes or everything that you can, because the session will be giving you study tips on how to ace with your IELTS test. Okay, so we don't hope that you have to take the test twice. Okay, so without further ado, I would like to invite our presenter today, Grace. Could you please?
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Banarita. Thank you, Christina, Hasna, and at America team. It's a pleasure for me to come back to this stage for part 2 of the Study Tips to Ace the IELTS Test series presented by the British Council Indonesia Foundation in collaboration with At America. So we also had this event last year. But then last year it was full webinar. Yeah, it was still online session. I'm so happy that this year we can have a face-to-face series webinar. So if you're around Pacific Place, go to the 3rd floor and please come to At America and let's have fun together here in this place. So now let me begin with my presentation. Now, today we have the second part of the series. Last week we had the listening and the reading sections, for the IELTS test. Now, if you want to continue your study to the United States of America or maybe to Canada, now taking the IELTS test is something that you might want to consider. The International English Language Testing System is proudly co-owned by 3 institutions. I think everyone has heard of this. Yeah, we're the British Council, and IELTS is accepted in more than 11,000 institutions around the world, in more than 140 countries. So taking the IELTS test is very useful, of course. As you know that there are 4 skills tested in this test, today we're going to have a look at the strategies, techniques, and tips to enhance your writing skills performance, especially in writing task 1. IELTS is designed to test your English language ability. Yeah. For those who intend to study, work, or live, where English is the main language of communication. So obviously, if you're going to continue your study to America or even in Europe, most countries accept the IELTS test. Don't worry about IELTS, Cambridge, it's British. Well, not necessarily so. It's international English. Yeah, you can I have American accent, it's fine. I have Australian accent, it's also fine. You can use any accents you like. Java accent, it's fine, yeah. If you have even Batak accent, as long as you pronounce the words and sentences correctly, you should be fine. Now, the 9-band scale is awarded as well as individual scores per subtest. There is, it's valid for 2 years. Yeah, it ranges from 1 to 9 and it's valid for 2 years. Although there is no passing or failing mark, make sure you have the scores that you need to apply for the university of your choosing. Okay. Now we have 2 modules in the IELTS test. We have the academic one and the general training module. If you're continuing your study abroad, obviously you need the academic module, right? General training is used for immigration purposes, right? If you want to migrate or attend language training or to have a work experience abroad, usually they ask for taking the general training module is acceptable. Now we're going to have a quick look on the difference between these two. So basically you need to make sure that you take the right module. I'm not saying that general training module is easier than the academic one because the task is different. I guess if you're familiar with academic English, formal text, then you should be fine taking the academic module. Now, as I mentioned earlier, that the main difference is in the, between the academic and the general training module is only on the reading and the writing tests. We're going to have a look at that later. Now, the test format itself, for the test format itself, as you can see here that there is no major differences. Yeah, all the timings the same. There are 4 sections, 40 questions. For the reading, 60 minutes, the same one. Only the types of passages that are different. Like for the academic, if you remember from last week, it was all about journals, about science, yeah, very academic. While for the general training, this is usually taken from manuals, handbook, newspapers, article, like shopping list even. So I'm not saying that it is easier. Slightly easier, you can say that, yes. For the writing itself, we're going to have a look at that later. And then for the speaking test, all the types of questions are the same. Total test time here is 2 hours and 44 minutes, including the speaking test. If you do the speaking test right after your writing test. Normally, we have a speaking test schedule, so make sure you check what time your speaking test is. This is one-on-one with an examiner. The difference is, I think if you attended last week's session, we have 2 types of a test delivery format, we'll say, IOP and IOC. So IELTS on paper and IELTS on computer. For IELTS on paper, the speaking test is face-to-face, so you have in-person test. For IOC, although it says IELTS on computer, it's still online. And of course, the speaking test itself will also be online. We call that VCS, video call speaking. Quite similar to the IBT test, but then with the speaking test in IELTS, you still do this with an examiner. Now let's look at the differences between these two. Now both modules have 2 tasks. So task 1 and task 2. For task 2, they're the same for academic and general training modules. But for task 1, academic module, you need to describe a chart. We'll have a look at that. For the general training, you only need to write a letter. For example, a letter of complaint or a letter asking for repair or how to apply to a university, let's say, but it's, sorry, not to a university, how to rent an apartment, something like that. For task 2, this is an essay where you might need to write a comparative essay, descriptive. Do you need to present and justify an opinion? Do you need to provide solutions to a problem? So sometimes you might also need to answer 2 questions. So why is this the case, for example? And what other measures should the government do to solve this problem? In task 1, you need to write at least 150 words, while for task 2, you should write at least 250 words. You're given 20 minutes. This is recommended time. 20 minutes for task 1 and 40 minutes for task 2. Now, it only makes sense that task 2 weighs more score because you need to write more words and you have more time. So we would strongly recommend you guys to do task 2 first. Although at the end of the day, you need to do both tasks. Right. Now we're going to have a look at writing task 1 today. So we learned from the previous slide that in writing task 1 academic module, you need to describe charts. Does anybody know how many types of charts there are in task 1? Do you know, Mbak Narita? No. Okay. Does anybody know how many task 1 types are there in writing task 1? 4? Close. Very close. 1? No. Otherwise, it won't be types, yes? Yeah. Right. So there are 5 types of charts. Yeah, we're going to have a look at that. So in task 1, you might need to describe this or that or this one, possibly this, and diagrams, map, or process. Yeah. If you're lucky, you can get a combination of 2 charts. If you're lucky enough, yeah, right. Now for the first 4, yeah, line graph, that is line graph, bar chart, tables, and pie chart. Here you need to be able to describe the trends. Yeah, this is something that you need to do during your university study as well. Like you're given a chart and then you need to write a report about it. Also, you need to make sure that whether it's a static or dynamic chart. Yeah. Static chart means that it's only within one period of time or 1 year, specific year. If it's dynamic chart or if it consists of more than 2 or 3 years or periods of time, certain periods of time, then it's dynamic chart. So you need to be able to make comparisons. What changed, what has changed, increase, decrease, or remain steady. We're gonna talk about that later on. Now, here's a sample of a line graph, right? I would recommend you to, when you start your writing test, read the first sentence here, and then find the what, the when, and the where. So what is the topic? Where is the location? And when is the time, obviously. So here we can see that the topic here, the changes that took place in 3 different areas of crime. What are the 3 different areas of crime? So here you need to look at the chart. So we've got burglary, car theft, and robbery. Think how you can rephrase this. Make your own sentences. Don't just copy from the task because these words won't be counted towards your final word count. So if you write exactly 156 words, let's say, but you copy this whole sentence, so you like 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 24. So that's minus 24. 156 words you write, minus 24. So you write below the minimum requirement. That affects your score. So try to rephrase that. So perhaps you might to change it to the line graph illustrates the comparison of 3 different types of crime. That's one possibility out of many. In Newport City Center, so that's the where, try to rephrase that. Well, there's not much you can do with the names of cities or like Jakarta. What else you can say? Capital city of Indonesia, but it's not specific enough. Just use Jakarta is fine. For here, you maybe the city center of Newport. That's it. Don't play too much there. And from 2003 to 2012, you can change it to in the periods of 2003 to 2012. Can you say, let's say, over 9-year period? You can, but use that in the body paragraphs, not at the beginning, not at the introduction. So maybe the whole sentence in your essay might read something like this. The line graph illustrate the comparison of 3 different types of crimes, comma, burglary, car theft, and robbery, comma, in the city center of Newport in the periods of 2003 to 2012. So the idea is to rephrase as much as possible. And then after that, this is your task word. So we've got summarize the information. So you need to summarize, select and report the main features. You don't have to describe everything here, all the numbers, let's say, burglary started at 3,400 and then it decreased to, in 2005, it decreased to 2,900. 2006, it was 2,600. No, you don't do it like that. You need to be able to summarize. One thing you need to note is one thing you need to do is to spend some time to look at this information and then try to understand that. If you don't know what you're looking at, you don't know what to write. Look at the trends. Trends, there are 3 types usually. Increase, decrease, remain. Remain can be remain steady, can be remain the lowest, can be remain the highest. Yeah. In this case, we can obviously see the most significant feature will be this line here. Yeah. So obviously the most significant trend is decrease. It's a decrease. Anything else decreased? Well, car theft did. Like this one, would you say this decreased significantly or mildly? It's a free fall. So that's quite significant. Yeah. So you can say significant decrease there. But for this one here, you might say it's a mild decrease. One thing that, oh, sorry, one more. The one here, this one, we can say it remain the lowest. Robbery, yeah? So it remained the lowest. So you've got 3 trends. Burglary started off as the highest number or rate of crime, and then it fell significantly over the period in 2008, where it remained at around the same level until the 2012. While car theft started off at the 2nd place, and then it shows a mild increase, fluctuated probably, yeah. Well, then it became the type of crime with the highest number at the end of the period. So that's line graph. Now I'm going to show you a sample of a bar chart. Same strategy, everyone. Now try to find the topic, and because the task words will always be the same. Task words is in the 2nd sentence here, but the topic will always be different. Find the what, the where, and the when. If it only says the general feature in the 1st sentence, refer to the legend. Yeah. So we've got rentals, VHS. What is VHS? I don't think a lot of people know what VHS is, but do you have to know? No, you don't. Just use this information and then write your report. Yeah, you don't have to make it up. What does it stand for? No. So there, we've got VHS, DVD sales, and Blu-ray sales. Again, look at the trends. What are the most significant features there? I guess the one in darker colors stand out more. So you can start with that. So what's this one? That's DVD sales. Increase, yeah? Significantly or mildly? You can also say gradually. These words, these phrases are important when you describe trends. Quite significant there. And then, yeah, slight decrease at the end of the period. What comes next? The white bars. So this represents rentals. Oh, this is easy. Yeah, a gradual decrease. While the last one here, this is also easy. Yeah, don't forget, don't miss out any details there. The gray ones here, they're VHS. So it started off at around 8,000, 80,000. And then gradual increase, steady decrease, sorry, until the end of the period. Also, there, don't forget there's one more thing over there. You don't want to miss out this detail as well. Make sure you include that in your response. Now, here's a sample of tables. Okay, spend some time to look at the tables, see if you notice any trend. Can anyone notice the trend? We can say that these are the countries. Can we say this is Asian countries? These are Asian countries. We can. Right. But don't really say that in your report, yeah? Because it doesn't say Asian there. But, sorry. We've got listening, reading, writing, speaking, and overall band score. Yeah, this is interesting, yeah? Now, the trends in tables, what can we say? Got the numbers. Okay, 6765, 676, 5665, 666556. Okay. Here we can conveniently say that overall, the listening and reading scores are higher than writing and speaking. Right? This is something that you might find interesting as well. The speaking is also higher than writing. See, 6.25, 5.97, 5.7, 5.5. Yeah? The speaking scores are always higher than writing. Do you need to discuss why in your essay? No, because it doesn't say anything about the reason why the listening and reading are higher than the writing and speaking, or even why the speaking is higher than the writing. So if you have prior knowledge on this, don't use that because it doesn't say in the chart. Now, this is something interesting with Indonesia. I guess in terms of discussion, free discussion, not in terms of writing the report, we all know that we are exposed to a lot of English movies, yeah, Hollywood movies, even songs, singers. Yeah, we listen to quite a lot of English songs, so we understand them better. Yeah, we call that receptive skills. Indonesians tend to have higher receptive skills compared to productive skills. Productive is when you produce the language. So there we come to the writing and speaking parts. Sometimes it's easier, not sometimes, it's often, more often than not, it's easier to say something in English rather than to write in English. It's not the same as when you write captions in your Instagram or in your social media. Because in Ielts it's different. It's very formal, it's academic. Right. Let's move on to the next one. Yeah, this is real data from 2018. I hope the numbers increase by now, hopefully, especially for Indonesia. Right. Now this is a sample, here's a sample of pie charts. Now you might get 1, 2, or even 6. moving. Okay, there we go. Right. Here you can see sodium, saturated fat, and added sugar. Okay, don't panic if you're not familiar with this. Everything you need to write in your report is here. Right. So think of the approach. How will you organize your essay? Also think about the relation. Yeah. So here we've got breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snacks. Okay, we've got these. Pie charts are always in percentages, so make sure that you know how to rephrase this as well because this affects your lexical resource. Percentages of sodium, saturated fats, and added sugars in typical meals. What are the typical meals? Breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snacks in the United States of America. Think of how you can rephrase this, which is basically pretty much the same or similar to this first sentence there, all of which may be unhealthy if eaten too much. What you should be aware of is how you write the figures or numbers. Yeah, so don't just copy the details. For example, here you can say slightly under, well, below 50%. So don't just exactly 43%. You might also say this is almost 1/5 because it's almost 20%, yeah, 1/5. Okay, a quarter, almost a quarter, you can say that. We'll have a look at this later when we look at lexical resource. The next one is diagram or process. For this, similar to the listening, I guess last week, we did a listening practice on labeling a map or diagram. In this type of process, in this type of chart, make sure you know where it starts and where it ends. Okay, if you see here from the river, high level reservoir, flow over there, low level reservoir, night. Okay, there's day, there's night. Reversible turbines, go back up, intake day open, night close. I have no idea about hydroelectric power station. Don't worry. Everything you need is here. Just spend some time, let's say about 3 to 5 minutes to understand and plan your response. Here you can see, yeah, everything there. Think of how you can rephrase the words. It should be okay. You should be okay. That's why practice makes perfect. Spend some time to practice before your test day. Here is a sample of maps. You might get a map of the same area or building in 2 or 3 different years. 1920, that helps you, that gives you a clue as to what tense you should use. Obviously, you need to use the past tense. So that can be past simple or past perfect. Present perfect, perhaps not. Okay, and this is Grange Park today. Now, for the trends, how can you describe the trends in this kind of chart? There's nothing you can describe. There is no trend. What you can describe here, find what is the same. What is exactly the same? What increase in size or what decrease in size? What change function? For example, let's find something that is exactly the same. You see, entrance, yeah, good. The street name is the same. Okay, anything else? Rose garden, yes, okay, thank you. Rose garden, so, but then here they had 3 rose gardens, but here there's only 1, but it's still the same. Anything else is the same? Stage, okay. Pretty similar in function, but it changed into an amphitheater. And then the seats there, yeah, they change form. Okay, now we're looking at the differences. So seats, well, there were more seats, but these seats here, yeah, 1, 2, 3, they are moved to, Yeah, so the rose garden was moved to the center, replacing the fountain, and they installed seats around the rose garden. Now they have a water feature where there used to be a glass house over there. Okay. There's an entrance underground car park, so this is also an important feature. Make sure you mention that in your response as well. We're going to see a sample answer at the end. Right. Now you might also get a combination of two types of charts. Yay! So here we have a sample of a bar chart and table. What you need to do is to understand how they are related or connected. Now, for example, here you have a bar chart on the left, export earnings 2015 to 2016. The value of one country's exports in various categories. So we've got petroleum, think of how you can rephrase that. Manufactured goods, that's a good idea. Gems and jewelry, there's not much you can do, I think. Agriculture and textiles. And the table shows the percentages in values, percentage but change in values. Same time period, so there's no problem. Yeah. The categories are the same. Gems, agriculture, textile. But here the numbers, so here you see the numbers are in billions of dollars, 10 to 70, while in here, they're in percentages. You can also see that increase, decrease. Yeah. So the majority increased, while gems and jewelry decreased. Now, your ability to use a range of vocabulary, of course, is tested. How you are flexible in the use and the word formation. Gems and jewelry and goods. So you can say there is a decrease in export or it decreased slightly. So there's an adjective noun phrase, or you can also use a verb and adverb phrase. Right, we've come to the criteria. Writing assessment criteria. So there are 4 writing assessment criteria. Similar to speaking, we're going to have a look at the speaking part in part 4. Yes, I guess part 4 ya, Mbak Narita ya. Okay, so 2 more weeks, make sure you come as well. Now, there are task achievement for task 1, task response is for task 2. We also have, task achievement is the degree to which you answer the question. Yeah, in task 1. Do you make comparisons? Do you present an overview? Do you write at least 150 words? That's task achievement. Coherence and cohesion, this is the way you organize or structure or link your paragraphs, sentences, part of sentences. And then for lexical resource, obviously this is a range of vocabulary and the variety that you use accurately. And grammatical range and accuracy, this is of course the range of grammar, sentence structure, how you use it, and the accuracy with which you use it. So you can download this on the website. You can check it out there, ieltsasia.org. It's for free. And what I would recommend you is to print out one. I'll show you later. But let's have a look at the ratings first. The overall score is rounded down. So for example, your task achievement is a 5. Let's say you don't write at least 150 words. So that's maximum band 5. Or you don't present an overview. That's a maximum band 5. The others, this is an average scoring. Yeah, quite a lot of candidates get a 6. Assuming that you use sufficient range of vocabulary, you use enough cohesive devices and good grammatical range and accuracy. So 5, 6, 6, 6, that's an overall of 5.5. So it's not a 6, unfortunately. Now, this is a sample of the writing band descriptors. As I mentioned earlier, it's a good idea to download this. not download, maybe print. Print, and then highlight the band score that you wish to gain. So let's say if you want to get the 7, highlight that. Yeah. So you know what you need to do in terms of task achievement. See, here you need to present a clear overview of main trends, clearly present highlights key features. So this is what you need. Sorry, this is also important, yeah? Covers the requirements of the task. So highlight that. You don't need to highlight general training if you're taking the academic module. For the coherence and cohesion, you highlight that. This is related to paragraphing. Yeah. If you only have one paragraph essay, everything is just basically a block of paragraph. Don't expect more than band 5 in coherence and cohesion. So underline that. Use the range of cohesive devices, and then vocabulary and grammar. Variety of complex structures there. Good control. Minor errors are still acceptable. Now let's move on to task achievement. Now with task achievement, you can ask yourself, what have you done what IELTS required you to do? Yeah. Okay, is it formal or not? The format. Do you write at least 150 words? Do you have enough data to support your report? So that's for task 1 academic. Make sure you don't include too much details, as in copying. Yeah, we call that recounts details mechanically, and make sure they are accurate. Yeah, examiners will check this. Don't think that they'll just it's like if it's okay if I write 10%, but then it's actually 20%. They check. Yeah, okay, and make sure that you have an overview. Have you included an overview? But then what is an overview? Overview affects your task achievement. The very first one. It is like we discussed earlier, it's about the trends, yeah? What increase, what decrease, or what remains. It is basically the most significant features of the chart. It is not simply an introduction of the topic. Yeah. Without an overview, it's impossible to get more than a band 5 in the task achievement. Now let's see how overview affects your scoring. Okay. If you don't have an overview, that's a band 5. So there's that. If you are able to present an overview, that's at least a 6. But if you are able to present a clear overview, you get a 7. So overview is only one of the few items needed to get a high score in task achievement criterion. Right, now let's see. We're going to practice a bit on this in this part, yeah? So I'm going to show you this is a bar chart of UK telephone calls by 3 categories. You can see the categories are there. Local fixed line, national, international fixed line, and mobile calls fixed line. Oh, sorry, for these 2, yeah, mobiles. Now, have a look at the chart. Think of the most significant features. Remember what increase, what decrease, what remain. Maybe anyone? You want to try? No? Perhaps anyone joining through Zoom? Want to try? No? Just what do you think the most significant features are? What increase? What decrease? Anything remain? Dun, dun, dun. Okay, we're gonna look at this samples, yeah? Right, so this is the same one. 1995 to 2002. So here are the minutes in billions. So that's 10 billions minutes. If you're good at math, you might want to calculate that. How in hours? How long is that? I wouldn't recommend you to do so. You'll lose a lot of time. So there you can see local fixed line is this first one. Yeah, the one on the left. National, international is the one in the middle. Mobile is the one that is black. I'm going to show you one overview. What do you think of this? Is it a good overview? No. Does it tell you much? Do you know what's being compared to? Many significant changes. Okay. That's it? Okay. Second one. Is it only the local fixed lines? No. What is it being compared to? We can't see that. The idea is that so that you can visualize the graph. Yeah. If you can visualize the trend, okay, local fixed line were used the most. Okay, what are the others? I cannot see. I cannot visualize. Yeah, so these are bad examples of overview. Now, how about this? So the trend is what must be emphasized. Yeah. It must cover the most significant trend. This is what is expected from an overview. So you can tell that there are 3 lines: national, international fixed line, and mobile calls. Local fixed line calls, so that's 3. And then the first 2, here they increased. Yeah. National, international fixed line calls and mobile calls increase. Mobile calls, national, international, yeah. So now the third and the second bars. Whereas local fixed lines calls rose and then fell over the period, so it's a regional level. So there you can see that they're the same. The starting and the ending level, they're the same. So this is a sample of a good overview. Okay, this needs practice, yeah. So make sure you do a lot of practice at home before you sit the test. There are quite a lot of practice tests. I'm going to show you, I'm going to give you the web address later on where you can get free practice tests at the end. Now we have some more here, good and bad overviews. Let's have a look at this one. Remember, can you visualize the trend? Do you know what it's being compared to? With this first one, can you visualize the chart or the trend? No, Australia. Are we going to look at some countries? Or we only focus on Australia and working women, or maybe there's housewives? What is that? Not sure. Yeah, so it's incomplete. How about, oops, too fast. Okay, let's do number 2. X was the highest, Y was the lowest. So maybe in your mind you'll see X here, Y here. That's it? Yeah. Incomplete or unclear. Process consisted of 7 stages. What process? And what are involved in the stages? And then something you need to be careful of is that when you write numbers below 10, it should be in words. So that is SEVEN, not numbers like that. Right. Next one. So we know it's a process. Start with gathering of cocoa beans. Chocolate is made. Maybe you visualize it like gathering cocoa beans. Voila, chocolate. Only two. But what comes in between? How many stages there are? We'll never know. Yeah. Do you make chocolate like that? Probably. Okay. So it's incomplete as well. Compare it with this one. It doesn't mean that the longer the sentence is, the better, but make sure that it covers what is needed so that the reader can visualize what they are going to read or visualize the chart. So here you can see the process consisted of 4 stages. 1, 2, 3, 4. Preparation of the fish, the cooking and smoking stages, and finally packaging and delivery. So preparation of the fish, cooking and smoking, packaging, delivery. This is a good sample of an overview. Again, this needs practice. Right. Let's do another practice. This one is a map. We've got a map of the same town in 2 different years, 1990 and 2005. Okay, I'm gonna give you some time to have a look and then use the strategies we discussed earlier. What remained the same, what changed, what decreased in size, probably what increased, and think of an overview. If you're joining through Zoom, probably you can type in the chat box. What remained the same? Anything decreased in size? Do you need to count the trees? Okay. Let's see what remains the same. The lake. The lake, of course, the lake is the same. It doesn't move, it doesn't change. School's the same. We still have the hospital. Yeah. Railway station. Yeah. Same. Anything else is the same? School. Yes, school's the same. Okay. Don't worry about the trees. Yes, Christina.
Someone from Zoom, Fariski, said the road and parking lot remain the same.
The road and the parking lot remains the same. Very good. That's it. Parking lot and the roads. Yeah, they're exactly the same. Thank you, Fariski. Yes. Okay, thank you. Right. Yeah, they're exactly the same. Good job. Now, what decreased or gone now? Factory. Yeah, factory decrease. Yeah, the tree is gone. Yes. Now it's we have a factory now. So addition. Anyone else? Airport. Yes, we've got an airport now. Good job. And supermarket. Yes. Very good. Yes, demolish the houses and change it in a housing complex. So you can see blocks of apartments or flats. Yeah, there. There's a huge mansion. Oh, don't say mansion. Yes. Yes.
Also from Fariski, the trees are decreasing now.
Okay, trees are decreasing now. Okay, we'll talk about the trees later, yeah? We'll talk about that. Thank you though. So yeah, some houses are demolished, changed into an apartment block and a supermarket. So you want to notice that as well. And we have a ferry dock there. Yeah, that connects the railway station. All right. Now, about the trees, it's not general enough. Yeah, the trees are not the focal point in this case. Yeah. So think about how the town has changed. Okay. Now, if you say there were less trees and more buildings than before, obviously this is it's not general enough. Yeah, you only talk about two things, but then there are more important features that you can describe. And then if you say that the town became more modern, yes, it is true, but then it's again, it's too general. Now, this is more like it. More urbanized one is more modern. Yeah, you can use different words. But then, yeah, this is a good overview that the town has changed from, yeah, let's have a look at that like again. Yeah. So from a green residential area into a more modern one or organized, urbanized one, where now we can see this. Obviously, these are the features that actually make a town more modern. Okay. Don't focus too much on the details. Yeah, that's the difference between key features and details. The trees here are more into details that you don't really have to describe. Now, how key features and details affect your scoring in task achievement? Here you can see that if you are able to present key features but details may be irrelevant, inappropriate, or inaccurate, you can still get a 6 for this. But if you're only able to, it doesn't move. Yes, okay. If you only report the details, copy everything from the chart, we call that recounts detail mechanically, you only get a 5. Or even you have no data at all. If you don't include any data and you don't cover the whole key features needed, you get a band 5. And obviously failure to do this, there's an attempt to address the task. Yeah, but you don't cover the key features. The format is also inappropriate. And then, like, if you focus too much on the trees, you might get a 4 in this case. So be careful there. Or maybe it's unclear, irrelevant, or even repetitive or inaccurate. Now let's have a look at coherence and cohesion. So here, what is also important is how you organize or structure your essay. Yeah. So coherence is the flow of your writing, how easy it is to follow your ideas. Now, make sure that you organize your paragraphs coherently, yeah, so that it is easy to follow and understand your ideas. With cohesion, so here is the use of cohesive devices, how you link your sentences, show relationships between paragraphs, sentences, or part of sentences. Do you use a lot of baso? It's not meatball, but, and, so, or. Every sentence you use baso. And you want to get a 7? Try to don't use too many buts, but maybe use however. Don't use a lot of and, maybe use moreover, in addition, furthermore. Don't use a lot of so, especially at the beginning of sentences. So, comma, yeah? So that's punctuation. You can use the hence, therefore, yeah? There are quite a lot of cohesive devices. Review this. Don't use too many like, when you write concluding paragraph, in conclusion, you can use to sum up, to summarize. Yeah, there are many varieties there. So the main key here is how you organize and your ideas and link them. You can also use referencing and substitution. Repeating the keywords especially is not a good idea because it shows you lack vocabulary. Also make sure that they agree to the words they are referring to. Here's an example. You can use determiners, quantifiers, this, that, these, those, or pronouns. So here, instead of repeating mobiles, you can just use one. So they agree, yeah, it's singular, while in the first one here it's plural. Here is just one of the mobiles. So it's, yeah, that's what I mean by make sure they agree with each other. And then here's another example. Perhaps you think I need more words. I haven't reached 150 words. So you think it's a good idea to repeat these words. See how many words you can get. Billions of tons of carbon dioxide and other toxic substances. But if you read these words over and over again, isn't it boring? Yeah, that's one. And then secondly, you don't know other words to rephrase this. You can use these. These refers to right? Again, practice. Right. Now, coherence and cohesion is important, obviously. As you can see here, how you can organize your ideas logically and there's a clear progression throughout. That's what you need to do if you want to get a band 7. Using a range of cohesive devices appropriately. There might be some underuse or overuse. It's still fine. Minor errors, probably. You can still get a 7. But if you only have one paragraph essay, as I mentioned earlier, then don't expect more than band 5 in your coherence and cohesion. Some organization, one paragraph, that's a band 5. But and so or tends to be repetitive. And if you want to get a 7, this is what you need to do. Again, maybe it's a good idea to print out one copy of this and then highlight the criteria of the band that you want to get, so you know what you need to do. Right? Next up is lexical resource. This is obviously vocabulary. Just getting a quick look on this. If you're able to use a range of vocabulary with some flexibility and precision, that is word formation as well. You know how to use it as a noun phrase, as an adjective phrase. Don't just repeat the same items over and over again. That's what you need to do when you want to get a band 7. Yeah. Less common lexical items. Yeah, like maybe you know some idioms. Yeah, but make sure they are appropriately used. Cup of tea, for example, that's very common. Swimming is not my cup of tea. Okay, that is still acceptable, but you don't say it is not the government's cup of tea to make policies. It's not accurate and it's not appropriate. We don't use cup of tea with government. Yes, so right. Adequate range of vocabulary. Yeah, it's okay. You can still get a 6. But if you only with some less common vocabulary, right, it's fine. You can still get a 6. But if you only copy the words from the task, from the chart, it shows that you have limited knowledge on this. To get a 7, yeah, perhaps use instead of using get, you can use gain, achieve, acquire. Yeah. So there are a lot of variety, and they're also less common. Okay. So those are just a few examples of this. Right? It's not always big words. Yeah, it's not jargons. It's not what was that? Basically gargantuan big words. Yeah, it's so sophisticated that even the examiner has to look it up in a dictionary. They did. Yeah, sometimes they did. Not saying that I did, but they did. Yes. And then it's not always about every single word. Yeah. So that when you read the whole sentence, they don't make sense. Not just because we get glimpses of a few solitary words. Oh, this is less common lexical items. Oh, this is not many people use this. But then when you read as a whole sentence, it's weird. They don't make sense. Yeah. So it's not that. And it's not about cliches and metaphors. It's all about being precise. Okay. So expand your vocabulary, make mind maps, find synonyms, and then find the antonyms or the opposites, yeah, and then find the synonyms of the opposites. One thing you can do is when you come across a new word, let's say last week I hope you have started doing this if you want to take the IELTS test. Spend about 15 minutes reading English articles, news, or watch BBC News or CNN, or not promoting, but you know what I mean, broadcast, yeah, news, broadcast, media, whatever you can find. Spend about 15 minutes. Maybe you come across a new word that you've never heard before. Look it up in a dictionary. Use English to English dictionary, not English to Indonesian, right? And then try to make a sentence using that word so you can put that into a context. So I hope you will remember the word longer and know how to use it, because that's more important. Right. Now, dealing with numbers, I'm going to show you how you can rephrase the words in pie charts. So these are only some examples. You can also look this up in roadtoielts.com. It's a free preparation resources for you. Now, what else can you say when you see these pie charts? Sorry, it's a bit of slow-mo. Right. So instead of saying 20%, you can use 1 in 5 or a fifth. Like when you see in the pie chart like that, yeah, they normally will put 20% there, but don't just copy that. Try to rephrase into 1 in 5 or a fifth. And here are the rest. So there are more than one way to describe charts. But one thing you need to be sure is that they are accurate. Yeah, don't alter them, don't amend. Okay, now we've come to the last criterion for writing. So we've got grammatical range and accuracy. Sorry, but whether you like it or not, yeah, it's still important, guys. I think, let's see, how long have you been studying English? Elementary school? 6 years, yeah? 6 years. And then you go to junior high. Middle school, 3 years. Then you go to senior high school, 3 years. 12 years. 12 years of studying English. Like when you finish elementary school, you get into middle school, you review past tense again, simple present tense again, right? Okay, so that's 7th grade. 8th grade, you do past continuous again. Yes? And then you go to 10th grade, SMA. You do all over again. Past tense, present simple. What's happening there? And after you graduate from senior high school, you still take extra lessons, English tutorials or whatnot. I guess I know because formal schools focus more on this area. Yet this is something that you need to balance out by practicing your productive skills. Speaking or talking with someone using English outside school area, school environment, I mean. Because sometimes people still look at you in a funny way, yeah, Mbak Narita, yeah. Like when you converse in English outside, it's like they say, English, yeah. So that lowers your confidence. Like we need to support each other. So when you actually hear some people talking in English, why don't you join in? Yeah, they might give you inputs probably. Oh, that's not how you say that in English, right? So you can practice. So the time to learn about grammar actually is gone. Yeah, you've been through that. So at least something stays, hopefully, from the 12 years of studying English at school. Now, so in grammatical range and accuracy criterion, this tests your ability to talk about what changed, what has changed, what will happen, yeah, what will be there. So for example, maps of two different time periods, 2020 and 2040. So that's the plan of the building 20 years from now. Future tense, yeah, will, going to. All right. And then it also tests your ability to talk about the trends. What has happened, what has changed. And also when you describe process, normally we use the passive voice. So because the object is more important than the doer or the subject. So we use the passive voice for that. Also remember about adverbs of sequence, firstly, secondly, next, after that, in the end, finally. Always put finally at the last stage. Don't put that in the middle or even at the beginning. Yeah, first we take some cocoa beans. Finally, chocolate is made. Then you missed out the whole process. Yeah, right. And also, oops. Yeah, make comparisons. And punctuation is also important. I know that now we live in a digital world where you can get autocorrect. That annoys me sometimes, especially in WhatsApp messages. This is what I meant, and then autocorrect meant a completely different word. Yeah. So maybe it's a good idea to turn off your autocorrect feature and then try to write in English correctly. Capital letters, proper nouns, first letter is always capitalized. Yeah. All in lowercase when it's in the middle of a sentence. Comma, semicolon, full stop, exclamation mark. We don't really use that in writing, IELTS writing tasks. Single quotation mark, double quotation mark, and so on. Hyphen, dash. Make sure you know when to use them as well. Right? Now, here's just a quick look of the chart. What you need to do when you want to get a band 7. Again, when well, you can go download this on the website and have it printed, and then mark or highlight the parts that in the band score that you want to achieve. So 7, you need to make sure that you have a good control of grammar and punctuation with minimal errors. Yeah, minimal errors. So how can you practice? One thing that you can do is to read good sample answers. The not so good one is also a good idea so that you know what not to do. Yeah, okay. Now we're going to have a look at some sample answers of the writing task 1 questions you saw earlier. Now here the first one is the pie charts. Here are the pie charts. I hope you still remember what the topic is. The what, the where, and the when. Yeah, the average percentages, probably the ratio of typical meals, breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snacks. 3 types of nutrients: sodium, saturated fat, and added sugar. And here is the sample answer. We're going to have a look at how the writer restated the topic. This is a band 6.5. Here we can analyze why this script gets a 6.5. The average proportions of 3 types of nutrients in typical meals. This is actually copied from the task. No restatements. But then the writer adds the 3 types include the categories, and the data is taken from the United States of America. So there. And simple sentences, yeah? The writer didn't combine these 3 sentences. This can be simplified. Did you see any overview? What is the overview? In which paragraph is the overview? First, second, third. Yes, thank you. The overview is here. Oops. All in all, the diagrams show that every typical meal consumed in the USA contains a percentage of at least 14% of nutrients that can be unhealthy if eaten too much. There is an attempt to write an overview, but there's detail there. Remember, there is no data in overview. You don't need to put the data. Do we know what's the highest nutrient contained in which meal? Now, can you visualize the chart? So if it's 6.5, highest possibility it's either 7766, yeah, in the 4 marking criteria, or 6677, let's say, or 6767 or 776. Yeah, something like that, yeah. So this might affect your task achievement, so probably it won't be more than 6 because the overview is not clear enough. In terms of organization, you can see there are 3 paragraphs, which is a good idea, but it would get a higher score if you separate the first chart 1 paragraph, the second chart, next paragraph, and the last chart in the next paragraph, for example. So that's one idea. Or you can combine how you organize it is through breakfast, lunch, snack, and dinner. Or what's the highest content? If it's through sodium, if the writer divides it through by sodium, saturated fat, and snacks, the last one is added sugar, yeah? Think of how you can express this or describe this in a better way. Like, for example, if we look at the last one, the last chart illustrates the proportions of added sugar. So this is the topic sentence. That's good. Snacks contain the highest amount of added sugar, 42%. Dinner includes 23%. A typical dinner includes 23% of added sugar. Repetition. While lunch contains 19% and breakfast includes 16%. Boring, no? There's something you can do to make it more interesting, yeah? Okay, how you can improve on this sentence so that at the end of the day you will get more than 6.5. Okay, see how you make sure that there's a progression throughout from the first to the last paragraph. So that's one example. The next one is the diagram and process, the hydroelectric power station. Right. Let's see how this writer, yeah, it's a band 6.0. Right. A hydroelectric power, that's the beginning. It works different functions in day and night. Do you think this is the overview? Does it tell you much? Yeah, maybe, okay, different functions of day and night, but what functions? In the daytime, that's a good start. So the writer divides this into in the daytime, and on the other hand, in the nighttime. So day and night. So it's quite consistent with the last sentence there. Oh, okay. So in the next paragraph, we'll read about the process during the daytime. And the paragraph after that, we're going to look at the process at nighttime. So that's a good attempt. But then the writer has a conclusion. We don't use conclusion. We don't write conclusion in task 1. Conclusions is only for task 2, where you actually present your opinion. Yeah, you don't need to present your opinion in task 1. A hydroelectric power station can generate power is based, grammar problem, is based on the differs, spelling problem, height, yes, of water level. In daytime, during the day, it uses natural water energy, full stop. Meanwhile, in the night, it transfers the water to create and store the energy for the next day. Okay, so obviously it needs a lot of work, how you can combine sentences. Yeah, hence a band 6.0. So spelling problem and then, yeah, grammar basically. But still, if you write like this, I hope not. Even if you write like this, you can still get a band 6.0. Again, refer to the chart, band descriptors, what you need to do if you want to get a band 7 at least, right? Now, the last one is the maps, the Granger Park. So this is a sample of a very good answer, at least 7.5. Yeah, this is a very good sample, 7.5. Now, here you can see the writer begins with that. Yeah, with what happened in the past. So like if you have 2 charts, you can divide it conveniently with the introduction, right? And then the second paragraph is body paragraph 1 or from the first chart. And then the next paragraph is from the second chart. That's what you can do easily, yeah? Make sure you have an overview as well. Here, the writer puts this overview. Despite the apparently significant changes, the park retains the basic elements of flower, remember the rose garden, water, seating, and music, with the addition of a cafe and a children's play area. Right. Now, if you compare this with the others, then you can obviously tell that this is way easier to follow. The ideas flow nicely. So this what happened in the first chart. What happened in the past? There was a fountain in the center. Yeah. And the next paragraph talks about what happens in the second map. Not chart, sorry. The park has altered considerably since then. Now, there is a one large rose garden, and so on and so forth. Yeah. So reading a lot of good sample answers can help you in terms of how you can organize your answer at least, and also pick up some good vocabulary words. How do people normally describe charts, the trends, and so on. Find out good overview, yeah, and things like that. Right. This is just a quick example of a general training writing task 1. If you remember that writing task 1 for general training is only about writing a letter. The task's words are the same, 20 minutes and 150 words. You need to write a letter to this, as in the example, you can see the manager of a public transport company. You need to address the 3 bullet points, describe the problems, how they are affecting the public, suggest what changes could be made, and say how you expect the company deal with the problem. You don't need to put an address. Begin the letter with "Dear Sir" or "Madam." Yeah. Right. Looks easy? But if you're continuing your study abroad, then you should take the academic module, not the general training one. Yes? Okay. Can I just do a general training? So I don't like writing charts. Practice. Don't avoid that. Okay. Right. Some useful tips as a summary. Make sure you know what to do. Yeah. Read the questions carefully. Analyze the chart. Okay. And think of how you can rephrase that. You can rephrase the keywords. And after that, make sure that you understand what the chart is about. It's always better to plan than to rewrite your answers. That's a waste of time. Yeah. Remember, in an overview, don't provide any data, no details, numbers. Yeah. But you need to include this in the body paragraphs. Lots of data, but think of how you can summarize this, how you can rephrase the numbers, how you can address the trends in a better way, in a good way at least, sorry. Okay? Make sure to compare and contrast information. Yeah. So that's the task 1 tips. Lastly, if you want, we have some free preparation resources to help you practice. Yeah, go to roadtoielts.com. I think we have 4 practice tests. If you register for the IELTS test with us, you get up to 40 hours of practice. Yeah, I forgot, was it how many practice tests? Quite a lot, yeah, Mbak, yeah? In the Road to IELTS. Just check it out. The last one, this is a paid resource. Yeah, this is mainly for speaking practice. Yeah, IELTS Speak Up, where you can practice with an IELTS expert and get feedback on that. So it's a 30-minute session. But yeah, I would recommend you to go to this one here. Yeah, you can try the academic for free. Yeah, and you get that videos on advice and tutorials as well. Flexible learning, as in you can practice as much or as little as you wish. So you don't have to do the whole 60-minute reading test. Just to get an idea of what it's like. There's a familiarization test as well. So if you're taking the IELTS on computer, you need to know the features first before you actually sit the test. So it's a good idea to take the familiarization test. Yes? Okay. All right. I think that's the end of my presentation. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me. Maybe in a Zoom, you can type in the chat box, or for those of you who are in here at Pacific Place, you can just raise your hands. We've got some goodies for you. Yay! Yes, Christina. Oh, it wasn't you.
We have one question from Zoom.
Yeah.
It's from Konita.
Yes, hi, Konita.
What if we get a task that consists of multiple charts? For example, if there are 6 pie charts, how should we divide our idea into body paragraphs?
All right, thank you, Konita. So 6 pie charts. This was actually a real question. That's all right, yeah. It's okay. Yeah, okay. Right. So this was a few years ago, pre-pandemic. For example, rewind. So if you have 6 charts, there's always something that connects them. Yeah. There's a sample question. Male, female, in 2 different countries, in 3 different business sectors. So they are employed in 3 different business sectors. Agricultural, let's just say textile and something else, petroleum, let's say, yeah? So that's 6 pie charts. Female, male, 3 different sectors. I hope you can visualize the charts by me saying this, right? Now, what connects them, right? Basically, it can conveniently be divided into 3 different sectors. So you can write in the first body paragraph about this sector, comparing the male and female, yeah, which gender works in this area more, okay? And then the second body paragraph, you can talk about the second business sector, and then the last one. Can we do it male, female, one body paragraph female only, the next body paragraph male only, comparing them in 3 different business sectors? Yes, you can. Yeah. So there is no one specific answer to writing test. It's how you are able to describe the charts so that it's easy to follow your ideas. So it doesn't mean that you can only do it this way. Yeah, you can. That's why make sure you understand what the chart is about first, what the pie charts represent, how it can be easily organized. Yeah, which way you think it's easier to write, how it's easier to write. Is that right? Yes. Okay. All right. I hope that answers your question, Kanita. And thank you for that. Would you like a goodie bag? Yes. You want a goodie bag? Okay. Yes. You want to go first? Okay.
Okay, thank you. My name is Alfian. I'm from Untirta. Here, I have a question. Actually, several months ago, I take Ielts test, and it was a mock test. And in that test, I was miss the writing, especially the writing part 2, and of course, my score goes down. So I want to ask, we know that writing part 2 has a higher percentage than the part 1. So my question, in 60 minutes, which one we should do first? Should we do the part 1 first or the part 2? Maybe that's all. Thank you.
Right. Thank you. I'm sorry. What was your name again?
Alfian.
Alfian. Thank you, Alfian. This is a common, quite a common question actually. Yeah, a lot of people struggle with time management, not just in the reading part, but especially in the writing. So we actually recommend you guys to do task 2 first. Yeah, yeah. As you said, it weighs more score. Yeah, 2/3 of the overall score. Task 2. With task 2, because you start from scratch, from nothing. Task 1, you are given a chart, so it should be easier for you to write something. Okay. Now we have a recommended time management plan, if you want to call it like that. So although you have 40 minutes to do task 2, let's say you spend about 5 minutes to plan. Yeah. Read the question, analyze the task, make an outline. 5 minutes max. And then if you have a good outline, if you have a good plan, then it will be easier to expand your ideas. Let's say you write for about 20 minutes from your plan. Yeah. Quite a lot of people tend to stop and think. For example, 10 minutes gone. 10 minutes gone. If you're staring at the ceiling for 10 minutes, you're looking for ideas. No. Brainstorming practice. Write down whatever you can think of. Do this before the test, yeah? Do this before the test. So 5 minutes planning, write for about 20 minutes, and then proofread. Read everything again. Make corrections. Yeah, proofread, 5 minutes. So overall, you have about 30 minutes for task 2. But then you said you have 40 minutes. What you can do is to go straight to task 1, and then do task 1, 3 minutes planning. If you have a good plan, it's easier to write again. 15 minutes to write, and then 2 minutes to proofread. Read again, make corrections. That's 20 minutes. You still have 10 minutes. 10 minutes is for you to be a bit more relaxed. Yeah, so that's your time saving. Okay, 10 minutes. In case you're not familiar with task 1 charts, you have a slightly longer time to focus on task 1. Or you can go back to task 2. So again, this is only a plan. Ideally, at the end of the day, during the test day, anything can happen. But if you're able to practice this, especially time management, I think you can nail that. You can nail that. Yeah. One thing is also important is to proofread. That's very important. You'll never know when you have typos, if you're taking the computer test. Okay. I hope that helps, Salvian. Yes. What's your target score? 6.5 overall. Yeah. No extra requirements, writing, speaking? Shouldn't be below. No. Okay. All right. Good luck if you're taking the test again. Yeah. All right. Thank you. Should he get a goodie bag? Oh, already. Okay.
He
All right.
already
Thank
has
you.
one.
All right. Any maybe?
Yeah. Is there anyone else here who still want to raise questions? Oh, there.
Okay, my name is Tias. I wanna ask. Wait. Right now, I'm thinking about whether to apply for a job or taking a master degree overseas. My question is it okay if I'm taking a general IELTS rather than the academic one? Is it still valid for the both of them? And which one, or if it's not valid, which one is more preferable? Thank you.
Right. For that question, I think you need to check with the institutions you're applying to. Yeah. I guess for if you only look for work experience, I think you can take the general training module. But if you're applying for to continue your study, then it's best to take the academic one, academic module. That's safest. I'm not saying, well, again, at the end of the day, it's back to the institution itself, what unit. They usually tell you what, which module you need to take. Yeah, so, but for universities, colleges, higher education, they specifically ask for the academic module. Yeah. For other than that, I think you need to double check whether it is okay for you to take the general training module. I guess that's the safest one. All right. Okay. Thank you for the question.
Hey, good afternoon. My name is Abi, and so I got a few questions. Actually, there's two questions. Is that okay? Okay, so I checked that from the good answer of the writing test, there are 3 paragraphs mostly, but let's say there's more data, and then I detailed it in, let's say, 4 to 5 paragraphs. That's my first question. Is that okay, or will it have impact on the scoring by the examiners? That's one. And I heard you said before that if the numbers is below 10, you should write the letters, not the numbers. But if I mistakenly write 7 as the number, does that have major impact on my scoring? Or, that's just a minor and the examiner will just decrease my score? And can I have one more?
Yes. Okay.
Sorry. So, and yeah, one more. It's quite the same with her actually. That I was planning. I'm still deciding whether I should take the general academics, or the general one or the academic one. So if I take the academic one, but then I apply for job abroad and then I use my IELTS if they ask for it, do employer abroad do they accept the academic one, not the general one? Yeah, I think it will be all.
All right, thank you. That's 4 questions in a row. Do we
Sorry.
get more goodie bags? All right, okay. All right, so I hope I still remember your questions, the first and second. All right, so I guess the first one when you said it's about the paragraphs, yeah? If you put, is it okay to put more details, okay? If you, I guess, avoid putting too much details, think of how you can summarize back there. Yeah, the 3 paragraphs are basically we'll say that's, it's not minimum, but it's the standard. Basically, normally people have at least 3 paragraphs. Yeah. 4 or 5 paragraphs, I won't recommend it because I think with 3 paragraphs alone, you already have achieved the minimum required number of words. But then 4 and 5 paragraphs, that means you need to spend more time in task 1 while you only have 20 minutes. Yeah. So I guess instead of writing too much, writing too many paragraphs, it's better just to focus on how you are able to select the most important information. Yeah. So let's say this was past papers, languages spoken around the world. There were 20 languages. Do you want to write 20 paragraphs? Exactly, in 20 minutes, yeah? Or let's just do an example. Let's say when you buy a car, what do you need to consider? Price, design, engine capacity, features, after sales service. That's 5. Let's say you are comparing Japanese cars or Indonesian cars. So 2 categories, 5 features. Do you want to write 10 paragraphs? No. Yeah. So think of how you can summarize, how you can highlight the most important. That's why I kept saying, what's the highest, what's the lowest, what remains. Yeah. What's the most spoken number of languages in terms of the languages spoken earlier? 20 languages. What's the most commonly spoken? Top 2 maybe? Or the bottom 2? Sometimes there will be 2 items that are almost exactly the same. So you can highlight that as well. Yeah. The idea is not to report every single tiny details, but how you can grab what's the trend. Yeah. What's the most significant? Something like that. So 4 or 5 paragraphs are not recommended. Yeah. 4 maybe, depends on what you need. Basically, because the task asks you to summarize and highlight the key features. I guess that's question 1 and 2. Was it?
Number.
Right, so that's number 3, yeah? That's number 3, okay. Writing down 1-digit number is not recommended in numbers, as in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so. But if it's 2-digit number, 10, yeah, 1, 0, you can write that in numbers. So like 7 is SEVEN. But what if you mistakenly, you accidentally write it down? It's okay, once or twice, right? So produce error-free sentences, quite frequent error-free sentences. So that's why I said download, print that marking scheme, yeah? Produce frequent error-free sentences, you can still get a 7. Frequent error-free sentences, yeah, so minor errors. But if it comes with a symbol, as let's say 7%, yeah, so it's okay. Yeah, you don't have to write SEVEN, PERCENT. No, I know you want to get more words, but that's not how you do it. Yeah, okay, and percent, it's 2 words, percent. Yes, okay, right, and that's 3, yeah. The last one was
General training and academic.
General or academic. I guess if you take the academic module, it is accepted by any institutions. More than 11,000 institutions, colleges, universities, and companies. Yeah. Yes. Right. Yeah. So it is recommended to take the academic module instead of the general training module. Yes. Yeah. I hope that answers your questions. All right. Thank you very much. Yeah. No, it's fine. It's all right. It's okay. Maybe the others also want to ask the same questions, but too shy.
Do we have more questions? Do we have questions on the online?
Yes.
Oh, that one.
Online.
Here.
All right, good afternoon, ma'am. My name is Lintang, and I'm from Indonesian Christian University. So, I want to register for student exchange at my university, but for IELTS, it is new for me. So I want ask some question or suggestion for me to regarding taking IELTS from my university, like that.
Right. Thank you, Lintang. Do you know which university you're going to apply to?
I think I want to apply in I don't know, but my university suggests me to apply in I'm sorry, in Asia, but uh, I'm sorry, but uh, I mostly want to apply in out of Asia, especially in Australia. Like that.
Okay. All right. Oh, you haven't decided on the university first.
Yeah, I haven't decided.
All right. So correct me if I'm wrong. So your question is how to take the IELTS test?
But mostly the question is tips and trick for the IELTS test.
Sorry?
Tips and trick for
Tips and tricks.
Yes.
Tips and tricks for to do the IELTS test.
Yes.
All right. Did you attend last week's series?
No, I'm new in here.
Right. Okay. So I guess you can go to America's YouTube channel for that one because last week we did the listening and reading parts. Yeah. We shared a lot of tips and tricks there. I guess you can rewatch that even for today's session as well. Yeah. And also for I guess it will take a long time if I tell you all now. I guess you can you can go to at America's YouTube channel and then watch the series. All right. So next week we have, if you're around in Pacific Place next week, please come over on Saturday at 11 until 1. We are going to have part 3, which is writing task 2. And then the week after, 27th, yeah, same time, we'll have the speaking part. Yeah, some tips and tricks for the speaking part as well. Yeah. So looking forward to seeing you next week. Probably and the week after, yeah? Okay. All right. Thank you, Lintang.
Thank you, Grace. And but Narita, do we have more questions, Christina? Okay, so we don't have any other questions.
Actually, we
from
have
online.
one, but
You do? It's
yeah.
from me.
It's
So yes,
actually
I
from
do have questions on because I've seen the slides that you presented today, Grace. It was very elaborated and informative. Thank you so much for that. And I wonder, so it makes me think, right? Like, okay, so if Indonesians' average score are, listed in the presentation, I think it's somewhere between 6 point something, right? It's below 7. So, but we are not doing that bad comparing to like other neighboring countries. So maybe my question would be like, what is the most the most common mistake that most Indonesian would do in the IELTS test? Maybe because today is writing, I would go for the writing specific section. Like, what is the main mistakes that you have seen? Maybe the students do and everything like that.
Okay, so that's why we spent a bit longer in task achievement. Yeah. I guess I don't know if this is a cultural thing. Sometimes when you talk to your friend, you were going to talk about topic A. And you know what happened yesterday? Oh, I met this guy, la 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 la. And then suddenly you ended up talking about your aunt. Yeah. So digressing the topic. So most often than not, it's about change of topic. Okay. So there was for example, pre-pandemic, there was a past question. There should be a strict punishment to those who violate the regulations, especially driver's license, things like that. Yeah. So for those of you who don't have a driver's license, there should be a strict punishment to this. So I was reading this one script, and then this person started off nicely why punishment is needed. Of course, this is writing task too, yeah, guys. So this is just an example. And then I know he wanted to give an example because at that time it was when one of our famous singer's sons had an accident in a tollway. He was under 16. Obviously, he didn't have a driver's license. Yeah. I think you remember that case? Yeah, so the 3 boys, siblings. Anyway, right. So that one. I know he wanted to just give an illustration there, but throughout that paragraph, and then the next paragraph, and then the next paragraph, it was all about the family. So it's off topic, yeah? So this is quite common, especially for Indonesian candidates, that they digress the topic. So you make sure that's why a good plan is important. So you know you focus, you answer the question. Even for task 1, for the charts, I know this is not something that Indonesians probably not common with. They're not familiar with these topics. Practice, practice, practice. Yeah. 2 weeks prior, every day. Not 2 weeks, the first day, and then leg day, day on, and then, yeah. Okay. Don't wait until the mood comes back. But just just commit to it. Just commit.
The key is consistency. Right?
Yes,
the
that's
consistency to practice.
Or have a study group, probably.
Well, we can do that here.
Come to America.
Yeah. So thank you, Grace, for the answer. I guess I also see that a lot when I'm reviewing essays for people who wants to study to the States, right? They talk about one thing and then they jump to another
That's
thing.
why you laugh.
Yes, that's what I was loving. And yeah, I think it's a cultural thing. So thanks for bringing that up. It's really interesting. You know, even in the IELTS test, you're seeing the same problem. So I guess if there's no more questions here, I'm just gonna let everybody know if you are interested to. This series is presented to you in collaboration with the Education USA in at America, with the British Council Foundation Indonesia, British Council Indonesia Foundation. So if you're interested to study in the States and you don't know where to start, you can come to Education USA here in at America. We can talk and talk and talk until you figure something out, right? Everything's free, including events like this. So we welcome all of you for the 3rd part and the 4th part. If you missed the part 1 and if you missed today's session as well, you can rewatch them on YouTube. If you don't know how to access our YouTube, you can simply go to our member booth. We will guide you through there. But otherwise, you can go to our social media. You can find them easily there. So yeah, that's all. It's an open invitation for everybody who have interest to study in the States. And maybe I'm gonna go one last statement here. Why we do IELTS is because the US is widely accepting IELTS test. So that's why, right? So okay, everyone, thank you so much. And I look forward to see everybody, hopefully in person next week. And thank you, Grace and Mbak Narita. I'm giving it back to the At America team.
Thank you, guys. See you next week.
See you next week. Don't forget to tune in.
All right. Thank you very much to Mbak Grace along with our moderator Mbak Narita for today's informative session. As usual, we really enjoyed the session. So earlier in this event, we asked the audience a question, and the question for today was, true or false, IELTS was established in 1989? And the correct answer to that is true. IELTS was developed during the 1980s and was first administered to students in 1989. Shout out to today's lucky one, Lutfi Elras from YouTube, for answering correctly. Thank you so much, everyone, for answering the questions. And don't forget to tune in next time in case you change to get a live shout out from us. And now, do you want to develop more brilliant ideas with a platform like this? As easy as ABC. You can simply go to our website at www.atamerica.or.id, select create an event, and go to collaborate with us. All given proposals will be reviewed and your event might be featured here soon. You can also subscribe to our newsletter if you find yourself enjoying this event so you can stay updated with our upcoming events as well. Follow us on our social media. We're on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at ATAmerica for interesting contents, giveaways, and so much more. Also, click the like button and subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's time to say farewell. My name is Hasna. Thank you so much for joining us today. See you on the next At America event. Bye bye, everybody.